Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Fifth phase of voting for general election to be held on May 20th in 49 constituencies spread across 8 states and union territories. Meanwhile, campaigning for sixth phase begins with major political leaders ramping up their campaigns across various constituencies. Georgian President put a symbolic veto on the Russian-style foreign influence law that has sparked unprecedented protest warnings. Flash floods wreak havoc in Afghanistan. At least 50 people killed, with dozens still missing after heavy rain brings devastation. In Elorda Cup 2024, ace boxers Nikhat and Minakshi strike gold as India finish with 12 medals. And in Indian Premier League, Bengaluru snatched final playoff spot with 6th consecutive win, beat Chennai Super Kings by 27 runs in Indian Premier League. Well, first, let's get to the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India. The fifth phase of voting for the Lok Sabha election will be held on May 20th in 49 constituencies spread across 8 states and union territories. Phase 5 of the general elections will witness voter participation from 14 seats in Uttar Pradesh, 13 in Maharashtra, 7 in West Bengal, 5 in Bihar, 5 in Odisha, 3 in Jharkhand and 1 each in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. According to the Election Commission, 695 candidates are in the fray for the fifth phase of polling. Some of the key candidates in the fifth phase include Congress leader Rahul Gandhi contesting from the Raebareli seat, Union Minister Smriti Irani contesting from Amethi seat, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh contesting from Lucknow. And as India prepares for the upcoming fifth phase of Lok Sabha elections, the Election Commission of India has put in place special arrangements for the postal ballots. These measures aim to ensure that all eligible voters can exercise their democratic rights even if they are unable to visit the polling stations in person. Here's a report by DD India correspondent Kriti Vadhera.
The Election Commission of India has identified several groups eligible for postal ballots to facilitate their participation in the electoral process. These groups include service voters, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, persons with special detention and special voters. The special arrangements for postal ballot reflects Election Commission of India's commitment towards inclusive and accessible voting. In postal ballot process, voters mark their choices on the postal ballot, seal it in the designated envelope and return it to the returning officer. This process ensures confidentiality and security through unique identification procedures. In-service employees feel pleased that they will not miss the opportunity to vote.
This EDC certificate is very much convenient for all of us who is on duty because while we are on duty, we won't be able to cast our vote simultaneously. But with this EDC certificate, at the very end of the polling session, we can cast our vote and choose who we want to vote. So it is very helpful for us.
By extending special arrangements for voting and postal ballot facilities, Election Commission of India ensures that none of the voters of India should be left behind in practicing their right to vote, irrespective of their physical and logistical constraint. With camera person Yogesh Tiwari, I am Kriti Vadhera reporting from Ayodhya Dham for DD India.
And Ladakh is going to polls on Monday for a single parliamentary seat in the fifth of the 7th-phase national elections. Campaigning is over now and the Union Territory has seen a keenly contested battle by candidates of national parties like the BJP and Congress from Leh and an independent candidate from Kargil. The choice is tough for Ladakh's roughly 185,000 voters, but they are unanimous on one issue: that efforts to make the Union Territory carbon neutral by 2050 are going strong and should be taken further. DD India's Gautam Roy reports from Leh.
Ladakh has had a long-standing relationship with harnessing the sun's energy, be it lighting its streets or powering their homes. Ladakh has had a long-standing relationship with harnessing the sun's energy, be it lighting its streets or powering their homes. Solar water heaters, sold at rates subsidized to as much as 75% by the Ladakh Hill Autonomous Development Council in both Leh and Kargil districts, are an integral part of most Ladakh homes. The Union Territory gets bright sunlight 320 out of 365 days a year. In winters, when temperatures plunge to as low as minus 40 degrees Celsius, these solar water heaters are no less than lifesavers.
इसकी वजह से हमको सुबह शाम रात दिन हर वक्त गर्म पानी मिलता है सर, चाहे हाथ धोने के लिए चाहे नहाने के लिए बहुत फ़ायदा है सर। ये तो हमारे जो लद्दाख जैसे सर्दियों में बहुत काम में आता है।
Even e-mobility has been introduced in Ladakh with India's first carbon-neutral integrated solar EV charging station where even private EV cars can be charged. The buses do the rounds of not only cities like Leh and Kargil but also ferry passengers to and from villages 70 to 80 kilometers away.
The government has already introduced 19 e-buses in the Union Territory of Ladakh for public transportation, and these buses are more comfortable, safety-wise. It's economic-wise, it's cleaner, it's safer, and it's placed on different routes as it stands now.
Passengers using the service of electric public transport are appreciative of the efforts and want them to be extended further.
It's a good idea. If lots of people use electric bus, except for their personal cars, there is a less chance their pollution will be increased. So in my case, I'll use many times electric bus when I reach in time.
But Ladakh is on the flight path of becoming carbon neutral by 2050, and multiple initiatives are being rolled out to make it happen. These range from making the Leh airport carbon neutral with an array of solar panels on its new and upcoming structures. Several mega solar power projects are also being set up in different parts of the Union Territory to power up the national northern grid. And a green hydrogen mobility project in Leh's Palam is also being readied to ply hydrogen-fueled zero-pollution buses. The goal to make Ladakh carbon neutral by 2050 may sound like a distant dream. But someone wise had once said that Rome wasn't built in a day. But with the way and the multiple facets that this work is being taken forward, this Rome will surely be built brick by brick, or shall we say solar panel by solar panel. With camera person Naveen Kumar Jha, Gautam Roy, Leh, Ladakh, DD India.
And Bengal has a rich history of India's colonial past, and one of the biggest peasant movements against the forced indigo cultivation rose from this state. It was after this the East India Company seized power to the British Crown. Take a look at this special report from land of Neel Khotes, as it is locally known, filed by our correspondent Devendra Mandal.
Bengal has been rich in history and culture. It was here where the East India Company first landed and then ruled over India. We take you inside the reminiscence of this almost 200 years old British architecture, or perhaps a British building, where the officers who forced farmers of this particular area, and in fact in large parts of Bengal, to cultivate indigo, lived here and ruled over the peasants of Bengal. Remember, in 1858, just after the Sepoy Mutiny, the Indigo Revolution began in West Bengal. It was from here that the peasants gave a call to revolt against the mighty British Empire. It is now attracting hundreds of tourists from different parts of the country to come here. Of course, this requires much maintenance by the government, or perhaps by the local authorities here, because Many tourists come here. It is situated just by the river Ichamati, and it was here the hundreds, and perhaps now it is surrounded by jungle because it has not been maintained for many years. Such buildings that still exist in many parts of Bengal speaks about the colonial past, the colonial history of India. With camera person PK, this is Dibyendu Model from Bangaon in West Bengal for TT India.
And the sixth phase of the Lok Sabha elections has officially commenced, with major political leaders ramping up their campaigns across various constituencies. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is focusing his efforts on addressing rallies in key battlegrounds. Today, PM to address rallies in Jamshedpur district of Jharkhand. The Prime Minister will also address public meeting in West Bengal's Purulia, Bishnupur and Medinipur. And senior Bharatiya Janata Party leader and Union Home Minister Amit Shah to visit Uttar Pradesh and Bihar today. In order to garner support in party's favour, Amit Shah to hold public meetings in Betia district of Bihar, Prayagraj and Jaunpur district of Uttar Pradesh. And BJP National President JP Nadda to address 3 rallies in Haryana. JP Nadda will campaign for BJP candidates in Faridabad, Kaithal and Karnal. And Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh Yogi Adityanath is scheduled to address a public meeting in Prayagraj and Jaunpur along with Union Minister Amit Shah. So campaigning for the sixth phase gains momentum, with opposition also ramping up their campaigns across various constituencies. Former Congress President Rahul Gandhi and Samajwadi Party National President Akhilesh Yadav are scheduled to jointly address a public meeting in Mungari, Karchana districts of Uttar Pradesh. Now let's take a look at other stories making news. India's Tiranga Mountain Rescue and the Indian Army are celebrating a significant achievement this winter season, as the number of avalanche casualties has dropped from the usual 30 to 40 deaths annually to 0. This milestone marks a profound improvement in mountain safety and rescue operations. India's national capital, Delhi, recorded a maximum temperature of 43.7 degrees Celsius on Saturday, making it the hottest day so far this season as per the IMD. The authorities have issued a red alert in several parts of the national capital and forecast severe heat over the next 2 days. Heat wave to severe heat wave conditions likely to continue over plains of northwest India in the next 3 days. Delhi's Tees Hazari Court on Saturday takes Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's aide Bibhav Kumar to a 5-day police custody in connection with the alleged assault on AAP Rajya Sabha MP and former Delhi Women Commission Chief Swati Maliwal. Bibhav was arrested from Kejriwal's residence on Saturday. 4 people were killed and 2 were critically injured after a car rammed into a truck on National Highway in Andhra Pradesh's Anantapur. The car en route from Hyderabad to Anantapur lost control and collided with a truck. The authorities are investigating the cause of the accident. Cancer patients walked the ramp at a fashion show organized in Rajkot. Featured cancer patients of all ages who graced the runway with confidence and grace. The show celebrated the strength, resilience and beauty of those battling cancer. Resonating with the spirit of audience, the model spread a powerful message of hope and bravery. Alright, still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Dominican Republic all geared up for Sunday's presidential polls. We'll get you glitz and glamour from the Cannes Film Festival. And Iga Swiatek dominates Arna Sabalenka to clinch 3rd Italian Open title in Rome.
The future may seem scary, but it is solutions like these that make it less bleak.
The interest in insect farming in India came only in the context of environmental management. To convert these municipal and then organic waste.
There are around 10,000 crickets in this container. It contains over 60% protein.
At first, I took the initiative to stop the sewage runoff in my own home, using what I knew and on my own volition.
It's a research topic for the future, but it would be really good to be able to treat the water and be able to reuse it, and at the same time produce plants for human consumption and other uses.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz demanded on Saturday that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu commit to an agreed vision for the Gaza conflict. Gantz, in a press conference, said he wanted the War Cabinet to form a 6-point plan by June 8. If his expectations are not met, he said he will withdraw his centrist party from the Conservative Premier's broadened emergency coalition. Gantz said his proposed 6-point plan would include bringing a temporary US-European Arab-Palestinian system of civil administration for Gaza while Israel retains security control.
The War Cabinet must form a 6-point plan by June 8 to bring home our hostages, to eliminate the Hamas regime and demarcate the Gaza Strip to ensure Israel's security control. If Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu prefer the national to the personal and choose to follow the path of Herzl, Ben-Gurion and Rabin, you will find us partners in the struggle. But if you choose and lead the entire nations into an abyss, we will choose to resign from the government.
And fierce fighting underway in northern Gaza, where Israeli forces battle Hamas terrorists in the narrow alleyways of Jabalia. Israeli troops and tanks pushed into parts of Jabalia on Saturday. Jabalia is the largest of Gaza Strip's 8 historic refugee camps. Israel has conducted renewed military sweeps this month of parts of northern Gaza, where it had declared the end of major operations in January. The Israeli military said forces have continued to operate in areas across Gaza, including Jabalia and Rafah, carrying out what it called precise operations against terrorists and infrastructure. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says that his country's forces have been repelling Russian attacks as Moscow claims to have captured a village in the Kharkiv region. Russia also said its forces shot down a Tochka-U missile fired by Ukraine. Meanwhile, Kiev has accused Russia of targeting civilians in 2 cities in Kharkiv, which has become the new front in the conflict. However, Zelensky remained confident that Ukrainian troops were in a stable position in the region.
I thank all our warriors who showed sufficient resilience and managed to gain more confidence, especially in the Kharkiv direction this week. The occupier is losing its infantry and equipment, a tangible loss, even though just as in 2022, it was counting on a quick advance on our land.
The Dominican Republic is all geared up for Sunday's presidential polls. Electoral authorities in the capital city of Santo Domingo reported on Saturday that preparations were going smoothly. Military personnel patrolled the exterior of the Central Electoral Board building as electoral staff carried and transported back packages containing voting materials. If no candidate wins more than 50% of the vote, a second round will be held on June 30th. Now, Georgia's president has vetoed a bill on foreign agents, saying that it was a Russian law that contradicts the constitution. However, the country's parliament is widely expected to overturn the veto. Southern United States grapples with heavy floods after a heavy storm ripped Texas and Houston, killing at least 7 people. President Joe Biden issued a major disaster declaration for 7 Texas counties on Friday, making residents and businesses eligible for federal aid. Storms with gusts of up to 161 kilometers per hour tore through the region, damaging homes and buildings, leaving more than 800,000 of people without the electricity. A tornado also touched down near the suburb of Cypress. At least 50 people dead after a fresh bout of heavy rain and flooding in central Afghanistan. Dozens others remain missing. The province had suffered significant financial losses with thousands of homes and properties damaged. Hundreds of hectares of agricultural land have been destroyed due to floods. Calling the situation grim, authorities say the heavy precipitation is a serious concern for everyone. Now in fact, it's time to get you all the glitz and glamour from the Cannes Film Festival. The next report tells you more on the 77th edition of the festival. Now, what does it take to restore an old film and screen it afresh? The Bharat Pavilion of India saw an interesting discussion on the restoration of the Shyam Benegal directed Manthan.
Hours before the screening, Manthan had its red carpet moment at the Palais des Festival. The screening in Cannes was made possible because reels of the 1976 film were preserved in film vaults for decades and restored. At the Bharat Pavilion, Shivendra Singh Dungarpur, founder director of the Film Heritage Foundation of India, gave a glimpse into the tedious restoration process.
We didn't have the sound, and we had to take it from different prints. We had to get the DG betas. There was a lot of work. In fact, the film was not syncing because the prints were already cut by the projection. You know, when they go for projection, so it was a huge challenge to bring it back.
The film will now be released in theatres in 70 Indian cities on World Milk Day on 1st June. But this is not a solo project of the Government of India.
I'm very happy that we could play an instrumental role in getting this film restored, and not just this film. I mean, we have a project. We call it the National Film Heritage Mission Project, and under that project, we have allocated more than 1,000 crores, and 4,000 films, 4,000 plus films, are being restored at the National Film Archives of India.
Manthan was inspired by the pioneering milk cooperative movement of Dr. Verghese Kurian, the father of the White Revolution in India.
My father thought of doing this simply because he had just started Operation Flood, which was responsible for the revolution in milk in India. And he felt that the story was a story worthwhile to be told. It was also a film that was taken to all the villages by the Spearhead team and shown to the villagers to start cooperatives in the villages that were covered under Operation Flood.
Manthan is credited for unleashing a socio-economic transformation in India and for being instrumental in empowering farmers and thus helping India become self-sufficient in milk production.
Doing this great job of restoring a film, which is not just a film, it's actually a socio-economic impact on the Indian society and dairy industry and empowerment of women that we are talking about, but which happened almost 50 years back.
Manthan's story revolves around the struggles and triumphs of a small group of farmers that come together to form a dairy cooperative to improve their economic conditions. It depicts the story of the inception of an extraordinary dairy cooperative movement that transformed India from a milk-deficient country to the world's largest producer of milk. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Cannes for DD India.
Sports now. I'll start with boxing. Reigning world champion Nikhat and Minakshi clinched gold medals as the Indian team concluded their Elorda Cup 2024 campaign with the best ever tally of a whopping 12 medals. Nikhat continued her dominance in the ongoing prestigious tournament as she outclassed Zarira Orakabaya of Kazakhstan with a unanimous 5-0 scoreline to add yet another gold medal to her coveted medal tally. Minakshi started the day for India with a bang when she defeated Uzbekistan's Ramonova Saidohan 4-1 in the women's 48kg final to give India its first gold medal of the competition. Besides Nikhat and Minakshi's gold medals, India won 2 silver and 8 bronze medals to better their last edition's record of 5 medals. Cricket now. Royal Challengers Bengaluru came out on the winning side in the battle for last available playoff berth against Chennai Super Kings in the Indian Premier League as they beat CSK by 27 runs in a nail-biter on Saturday. The two teams finished at 14 points, but RCB sneaked into the final 4 on the basis of a better net run rate. The other 3 teams who have already qualified are Kolkata Knight Riders, Rajasthan Royals and Sunrisers Hyderabad. It was the 6th straight win for RCB in the season, who first posted a solid 218 for 5 after being invited to bat and then restricted CSK to 191 for 7 to make it to the playoffs for the 9th time in 15 seasons. RCB survived a scare as Ravindra Jadeja and Mahendra Singh Dhoni had conjured up hopes of a turnaround after Rachin Ravindra's 61, but Yash Dayal held his nerves in the final over to take the host home. In Italian Open, Iga Swiatek beat Aryna Sabalenka 6-2, 6-3 to win her 3rd title on Saturday as the Pole came out on top once again in a battle between the top 2 in the women's rankings following her Madrid Open triumph earlier this month. Swiatek broke Sabalenka twice in the first set, where the Belarusian conceded 12 unforced errors in a lopsided start to the match. Sabalenka fought back, reaching 5 break points in a bid to lead 2-0 in the second, but Swiatek held her own serve. Sabalenka failed to break again, with Swiatek holding her nerve to save 2 break points on her next serve. The set progressed to 3-3 before the Pole broke again in back-to-back games, this time ensuring her path to victory. Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.